Electrocast.
There's a change happening in the way we live, the way we work, the way we spend our money and make our decisions. We are evolving to be more conscious in our actions in a way that serves the world and makes it a better place. Welcome to the Ethical Evolution. The Ethical Evolution podcast is brought to you by the Ethical Change Agency. I'm Bindi, CEO and founder, and I am honoured to bring you the stories of those who create change through paying it forward and giving back. Ethical business owners and holistic healers who are determined to create collective change in the world. Once we have a change in consciousness, and through collective change, we can become one. My next guest was another incredible Instagram find of ethical goodness. A passionate little lady with a mission to reduce waste and go plastic free in what we buy. While she was on her travels around the globe, she saw the impact our addiction with plastic was having on not only the environment, the marine world, but also us as human beings. After finally settling in New Zealand, she felt she needed to do something to make a difference. Living a sustainable life wasn't quite as easy for her in NZ as it was when she lived here in Australia. So, she decided to do something to change this. Annie Shaw is the founder of Ethically So, a low-waste, plastic-free online store based in New Zealand. All products are naturally sustainable, reusable, locally sourced, or plastic-free. She's on a mission to make living a waste-free life the normality. We need to think about where our products come from and how they end up in our hands. So get ready to be inspired by Annie. Welcome, Annie, to the Ethical Evolution.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Now,
Exciting.
Yeah. Now, you're all the way across the ditch in NZ or New Zealand, and your business, Ethically So. Can you tell us about the background of that and how it came about?
Yeah, so I studied art at uni, completely separate. I probably did a couple of topics based around deforestation and welfare of the ocean, but it wasn't a main interest.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went traveling. So I went to Southeast Asia for 6 months. I was in Australia for a year before moving over to New Zealand. And Southeast Asia just really affected me. Like, there's just so much plastic pollution there. And you're seeing kids playing on piles of it, families burning it to make spaces on their beach,
Oh, no.
and using the fumes to cook, which obviously is carcinogenic.
Oh.
And I just really, really struggled that, like, for 6 months, seeing that and going to places like Bali and seeing the fact that there's no connection between Westerners going over there and being in a beach club, sipping out of straws, and then beaches just below the beach clubs being blocked off by security guards because there's so much plastic pollution. Like, it's kind of like we go over there and forget, but yet people, especially in New Zealand and Australia, are so conscious of their own back garden. So that's something that I really struggled. It was I felt like it was the fact that people didn't see the long-term effects because they weren't having to live there long-term. And obviously the people that live there themselves weren't educated in a way to know that plastic never disintegrates. So that was kind of where it all started for me. I then moved to Australia, went vegan, living in Byron Bay, went plastic-free, went like all extremes, and which was great, very easy to do there. And then I moved over to Auckland, and it kind of hit me as a brick wall that it's not that easy to do here. And I really struggled in terms of, like, the first time I was doing plastic-free July, and I walked into a supermarket. This is when we moved over, and everything was in plastic packaging, absolutely everything. Like, there was nothing that I could buy at all. So it's changed a lot over the past 2 years. I've definitely seen a progression in cafes as well, and restaurants. Like, there's a cafe down the road that's now doing meatless Mondays for this month, which is great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I just felt like I was doing all this stuff, and I was making all, like, my homemade stuff at home and sharing it online, and people were loving it. But I felt like there was more that I could do. I wanted to share it with other people as well as just doing it myself, if that made sense. And I guess that's kind of where it started. I knew if I didn't do it now, like, when would I do it? So
yeah.
That was the starting point.
And so you created Ethically So. So what do you sell? What's your store all about?
So Ethically So is a low-waste online store based in New Zealand. It supports local New Zealand businesses. It aims to educate others, and it aims to make low-waste living easy. So we've got shampoo and conditioner bars in metal tins, completely plastic-free, completely toxic-free, so no chemicals, made in New Zealand. We have so much, like metal razors, stuff for the kitchen. You've got cleaning utensils. It's very much everyday lifestyle essentials at the moment. And very much when I first started my plastic-free journey, I tried to do it a room at a time. So I started with the bathroom.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of reflected in Ethically So, because I have so many bathroom products on the website, and I need to really work on the kitchen side of things and the men's section. So it's very much a reflection of the journey that I went through as well.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful site. I know I've gone on there and I'm like, oh my God, I could buy so much on here. I can't stop. So, but you mentioned razors, you know, back in the day, all you could get was metal razors, and now they're all plastic, aren't they? Like, and now it's difficult to get metal ones.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like we need to take a step back. We need to go back to where we were. Like, it's actually quite surprising. Like, I've given it to a few like family friends, like men that I know have either bought one or I've given them one as a present, and they open it up and they're like, oh my God, it's like taking me back in time. It's like being given a present from my dad or something. And they really connect with it. And we don't have that connection with these products that we use anymore, which is really sad, because we should. Like, we don't care where they go, and we really need to, because that's the problem.
And that's it, you know, we're using these products on our bodies as well, and the impacts it's having on our health. We're just becoming a throwaway society, and we're not actually thinking about what we're doing to ourselves. And I think, a store like yours is actually helping stamp that out, and I think that is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's definitely the aim, to make it more, especially in New Zealand. Like, it's very much, I think it's probably a lot easier in Australia in some places. I know Byron, I found it a lot easier.
Yep.
But in New Zealand, with there being so many rural areas as well, rather than going to one site and having to get your razor and another and having to get your shampoo and so on and so forth and paying $10 shipping each time, ours is kind of a one-stop shop. So you can just come to me. There's all the companies that I'm supporting as well. So it is all New Zealand based still. There are a couple of Australian brands, but mainly New Zealand.
Yep.
And you only pay one postage fee. So again, it's cutting down on the emissions of the postman as well.
That's excellent. So it's the whole ecosystem of what you do.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's very much low waste, not in terms of the products, but in terms of, that's another reason why I don't ship overseas as of yet, because I want it to be low waste in emissions, low waste in the products that are produced and the toxins and everything.
Now, you mentioned you've got a cafe down the road that does the meat-free Mondays. Are you noticing more of a conscious change in New Zealand now?
Yeah, definitely. There's been such a change, like especially in the past 2 years since I've moved here. I did write a couple of letters to Countdown, I must say, because they would get, like, some things were plastic free and then the next week they weren't, and then they were again, and it was just very irregular. But there's definitely been such a change, and there's so much potential to be unlocked here, because there's so many great companies doing such great things and producing such great products that it really doesn't need to have all the packaging, because all that packaging has to be imported anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas the products are already here, like we're making them here. And it, like New Zealand, I was very shocked when I moved over. Obviously, coming from England, you can walk into a supermarket and you can get anything at any time of year and nothing changes in prices.
Yeah.
Whereas when I moved here, I was like, what do you mean an avocado is $8 this week, but it was only $1 last week? Like, I just I'd never seen the fluctuation in prices or seasons before.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really great thing, because obviously some foods are imported here, but you can definitely be conscious in shopping for foods that aren't imported. Whereas in England, pretty much everything's imported.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But cafes, are definitely making a change. Like I've got such a long list now of cafes that I need to go to that are doing vegan options or vegetarian options or things like meatless Mondays or fishless Thursdays.
Yeah.
And it's really great seeing those changes.
Yeah, and really I'm noticing it a lot more as well, particularly in the food industry, and I think that's really, really good to see in the way they're packaging things and being very conscious. Like even coffee shops with the coffee cups now, if you take your own coffee cup, you get your coffee cheaper. And I rave on about this all the time, and I actually point people out and go, like, take your bloody cup.
Yeah. And it makes a difference. Like it makes such a difference, especially I've been working in a cafe until last month, and wow, the amount of people. I went away on holiday for a month and I came back, and the amount of people that suddenly had keep cups, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it quite confusing to make all the coffees, but it's great. Definitely not complaining.
You're like, what size is this one?
Yeah. With different coloured lids and different cups all over the place.
Yeah. Now, I'm seeing a lot more ethically minded businesses who are conscious about the way they do business and the products that they use and the services they provide, along with giving back to the community and the planet. Do you have a criteria for the products you sell online?
That's a very good question. So I don't have as such a strict criteria. It very much, as I said, it started from me sharing my journey of how I went towards low waste. So there's probably about 6 things that I kind of look for when I'm looking to work with a company. So either plastic free. Mm-hmm. If it's plastic free, that's probably the number one. 100% natural ingredients, made in New Zealand, vegan, reusable packaging, or low waste. If it fits one of those, then I'm most likely to want to stock it.
Yeah.
If it fits multiple, that's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a couple of I kind of have to judge it. I'm very much interactive on my social media and working with my customers to find out what they want and being very transparent. I think transparency is completely key. Like these people want to trust, they want to trust you, and you have to be honest. And that's what I'm here for. Like this, we've blocked off how things are made for so long and where it's going. So it's very much important to show the background of where everything's coming from with the business that I'm doing. But there are a few companies. So like there's a company that I started working with recently, a cake making kit, and they have gluten-free cake making kits and vegan cake making kits. And they have plastic packaging inside their cake making kits. The rest of it's completely cardboard, completely chemical free, no toxins. It's easy to make yourself. You're not going to be going to a supermarket and buying a cake in a plastic packaging. Really great product for a friend's birthday, but they do have plastic packaging inside. So I emailed them saying, obviously I'd love to stock your products. This is a little bit of an issue. Have you heard of this company? I work with another kit company, and they use these biodegradable and compostable packaging.
Yeah.
And they said, actually, we've been looking for one for ages. We've never heard of this one. We'll look into it. And I replied saying, okay, great. Would you be able to do that by December? I'd really love to get them on before then. And she replied saying, unfortunately, we produce them in thousands, so that's unlikely. But for the new year, that's our number one goal. And in terms of that, like, obviously it's not ideal that there's plastic in the packaging, but it's a company that's willing to make a change, and I'm happy to be able to support them in that change-making system, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so the criteria is not strict.
No, well, it has
to fit.
And it would be challenging to find, companies that are, fitting that criteria for you, wouldn't it? Like, 100%.
Like, it's definitely getting easier, as we mentioned. Like, it's got so much easier in the past couple of years with cafes and everything as well. But we're still in that process of having to, like, I want to be able to support companies for them to make those changes, rather than just being like, no, can't work with you. I'm going to wait for somebody else to pop up.
Yeah.
It's about supporting each other at the end of the day. Like, without support, nothing's going to ever change.
That's it. And, we need to collaborate and work together on this change. It's a collective change, really. And I rave on about this all the time at the Ethical Change Agency. That's our motto. That's what we're all about. So what you're doing is actually you're being a connector for those people to actually make that change happen. And kudos to you. That's amazing. You're actually changing the way someone does business. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
So how would you define ethical in your business?
So ethical comes down to moral principles. It is like the word ethical, the Greek ethos for that is moral character.
Yep.
And obviously that comes down in terms to me to, again, as I said, trust, honesty and transparency being key. I feel like it's a philosophy of making a daily life decision that accounts for ethics and value. So ours is mainly focused around, like, ethics in general is mainly focused around sustainability, environmentalism, wildlife or animal welfare, and about it being a personal choice. And I feel like we do kind of hit all of those targets. Animal welfare is probably not our number one. We do try and stock as many vegan products as possible. But again, environmentalism, wildlife, it's all about the low waste emissions, the low waste products. Obviously, all this plastic packaging, it's breaking down into microplastics, going into the ocean, going into the fish, and then we're eating the fish. It's going into our bloodstreams. If you burn plastic, it becomes carcinogenic. So what's plastic in our bloodstreams doing? Like, that is not ideal. But yeah, it's just about, it's definitely about finding out how products are made and having that transparency again. Obviously, with Ethically So, as many products as possible are made in New Zealand, but we are locally sourced, not locally made. So I work with companies that do source products here. And obviously I find out the information of how they manufacture them, but they're not all manufactured in New Zealand. But again, that's a work in progress system where there's another company that I recently worked with, and she was sourcing her T-shirts in Bangladesh. She assured me it was all ethical. She sent me all the emails and everything. And I said, well, have you heard about this other company in New Zealand called Little Birds? And they make their T-shirts here, all organic.
Yeah.
And so much better. And she emailed me yesterday being like, I've made the switch. I'm so excited.
Oh, you've done it again.
All of this. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think it's just about supporting, being transparent, and then helping to educate as I go as well, rather than being so focused on the ethical side of how it's made originally, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I've asked several people that question, and the answer you gave was amazing, can I just say? I was like, well, what's she going to say? And like everybody I asked, they're like, it's almost a bit predictable, but yours was just on the money. I loved it. It was really good.
Yeah.
Now,
it was definitely a thought-provoking question, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I have spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs as well about how they ethically do their business, and ethical means different things to different people. And we were looking at
100%.
certification and things like that. So I've been talking to a lot of people about B Corp certification and those kind of things, and also the beauty industry and how they have certification and how they make things cruelty-free for animals. And, there's just so much we need to look at. And I was almost thinking, we need a whole new standard here that encompasses everything. So
that's the thing. And the whole greenwashing system's so big at the moment that it's like, how do these customers like when someone searches how to be sustainable, it comes up, it's like going into the fitness industry. There's so much information that you're bombarded with that you just have no idea where to start. And that's why it's important to take it back to basics and take it back to the beginning and fully try and educate these people, which is why I believe these podcasts are important and blog posts are important. And yeah, it's definitely interesting having the word ethical in my name as well. Obviously that makes people definitely think about why I'm using the word ethical.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that question. Thanks.
Yeah. And I mean, I have the same thing, I've got it in mine, I've got it everywhere. But it makes you stop and think about everything you do, every single thing, like
absolutely.
What you buy, what you consume, the decisions you make, and then how that reflects back on you and your business. So it really just changes your whole thought patterns. And I think this is the collective change that we need to make.
Yeah, and definitely. And that's how people used to think. Like they actually had to go through the process of doing everything themselves.
Yeah.
So they had to know, like they had to think about these things. Whereas now it's so easy to just potter along in life, and not question anything.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be asking these questions.
So it's almost like a reverse evolution, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
I think I've just had a
I've never heard that before, but that's what it is.
Yeah. So what are the future plans and goals for Ethically So to create a change in the way that we shop? I know you've connected a few people to change the way they do business. What's your plans for the future with Ethically So?
Again, a very great question. So we've got a few goals in mind that we definitely want to work towards. Obviously, the main one is cutting down on emissions. That kind of contradicts itself, because obviously I'd love to be able to offer these products worldwide, but at the same time, that would not be cutting down on emissions. So at the moment, it's still going to be very much New Zealand focused. We want to aim on, using the resources that we have already locally. Like, as I said, New Zealand has so much potential, especially with the weather here, like solar and wind and water, the hydro, all of that. There's so much potential and it's not used. I've recently been talking to a renewable energy company, and they're in, okay, this sounds like a lot. They're in 1 in 4 houses, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But that means that there's 3 out of every 4 houses that aren't using renewable energy. And they could be. There's so much potential for it, for New Zealand itself to be like self-sustainable. I just want to focus on finding products that are going to last, that are actually going to last longer than me just bringing in, I don't know, say for instance, a product that then breaks and it's not going to work again. And then you have to buy another one. And people think that they've invested all this money for a product that's going to last over a longer period of time. And then it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's not the aim. Like, I'm not here to take people's money. This is just a side hustle for me. Like, I have 2 other jobs.
Wow.
So so it's just a passion that I had to do something about.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to make sustainable shopping easier for all. And obviously, I know there's so many rural areas in New Zealand, but I want it not to be super expensive, because at the moment, people are adding the word vegan to things in supermarkets, and suddenly the prices have shot up of hummus, for example, which was always vegan, or they're adding the word eco, and then the prices are shooting up of that.
Yeah.
It's very much catch-22, because obviously products that are going to be made in New Zealand are more expensive. It's more expensive to buy the materials here and produce them. Rent's more expensive. But it's about finding that balance. And I think that's why it's really great to be able to have loads of different companies in one place, because I do have a little bit of power to play around with the price of postage and stuff like that, rather than people paying triple postage and going to multiple other shops.
Yeah.
What else? I just we've just got so much unlocked potential, I feel, here.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep digging for that. Like, we've only been live for 3 months, so it's still very much early stages and still very much a baby company. But all my original intentions are still there, and I think that's really important.
Absolutely. And, I can see the passion in you for this, and, I'm going to make sure you succeed. Thank
you.
with your emissions, have you thought about potentially doing some carbon offset kind of stuff with postage and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. So I've spoken to a few companies, and obviously they ship worldwide, and all the postage that they do is carbon neutral. As I said, we work with 2 companies from Australia, and the postage that comes over with them is carbon neutral. It's something at the moment we use the local couriers, but I would definitely love to look into using bigger companies such as Sendle. They do a lot of carbon neutral shipping. But then it's kind of catch-22. Do I stay with the local post people, or do I go for a national company?
Yeah.
So again, that's something that I would like to look into more.
Yeah.
But it's, whatever which way I turn, there seems to be a catch-22.
Yeah.
So it's, again, about finding that balance.
And the bigger companies you use, the harder it is for you to keep that criteria in check, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially because they don't necessarily have the time to go through all the processes with me to explain how everything works.
Yeah.
And I'm new to business. Like, I want to know every step.
Yeah.
And I want to be educated and taught as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to be able to pay it forwards in terms of, I definitely want to eventually, when we kind of get the ball rolling a bit more, to be able to donate to companies. There's, oh my God, there's the most amazing company that I saw online recently, and it's, they're called the Coral Gardeners.
Yeah.
And they are on an island in between Tahiti and Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
French Polynesia, and they plant coral back into the ocean. Obviously, like, the ocean makes up of a ridiculous amount of oxygen that's given off and carbon dioxide that's taken in.
Yeah.
Like, we need that coral to live, to help slow down like with deforestation and with all the chemicals that are given off and global warming and everything. And they're replanting coral, and they've made like a super coral which can last in hot waters. So
wow.
and you can buy like tables, and they will plant 1,250 new coral creatures or something like that. I'd love to be able to donate to companies like that.
Yeah.
I think that would be amazing.
Yeah. And I think you just answered my next question, which was about paying it forward. And I think that's what you would do. Do you do anything like that at the moment, or because you're still quite small, you haven't quite got there?
Yeah, at the moment, no. We're coming up to hitting our first 100 orders, which is very exciting. But everything that is paid into the company at the moment is recycled. So it's just paid into working with more companies, adding in, because I started with only working with 10 companies, and now I think we work with about 42,
yeah.
2 of them being Australian. So yeah, all money that comes in, absolutely none of it goes out. I'm not living off it or anything. It very much goes back into the business, and looking at ways that we can improve, ways we can improve the marketing, or working with new companies, or going for like there was another company, for example, they recently changed their packaging to being more biodegradable, but it meant that their minimum order quantity was a lot higher. So things like that, it definitely all goes in, and it's a recycled system.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to do like, that is one of the goals, 100%. It has been since before I even launched. I'd love to be able to donate to certain, maybe like a different venture each 6 months or something. I think would be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, events, like, I'd love to do some talks in schools. I think podcasts are amazing. They're super important. And a podcast kind of never dies as well, whereas a blog post can disappear into the earth of the web. Blog posts are important, articles, and video, especially, like, videos, the way forwards. Our attention spans are just so short that videos definitely connect with people. And yeah, I think that's very much what I try and bring in on the page. Like, I try and show my face as much as possible and show the process of how I'm learning along with you guys as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not perfect. This isn't something that I've always done with, like, we're all learning at the same time.
Yeah.
But
and I love that. Important. I love that about what you do. You know, you're real, and that's what people connect with. And if I can encourage you to do anything, it's to be a disruptor, and it looks like you will be. But yeah,
I'm trying.
Challenge the norm is what I say. So
definitely.
How can we support you and get involved with Ethically So?
There's lots of ways that you can do that. There's word of mouth, obviously, is number one. That's really important. Like, I don't know if it's so much the same in Australia, but in New Zealand, people only shop online 6%. Wow. It's very much talking to people. Yeah. It's not big at all. Like,
it's huge here.
I don't know if it's because it's like 20 years behind, as people say, but I don't know. But people very much like that face-to-face connection. They like hearing from people. They like seeing people and going into shops and talking. So talking's very important, especially with the shift. Like, it will go more towards being online.
Yeah.
I know in London that's very much the case already. But just being aware that there's other options and having those go-to spots. So, like, you'd have the go-to spot in the back of your mind when you need a product or you need a present, or maybe you're going to bulk package it, that kind of thing. Like, you might know that you've got a few products coming up that you're going to need, so just wait. Rather than doing like multiple small orders. That'll help as well in terms of emissions. But yeah, if it's something that you believe in, really fight for it. Like, it's all very well saying that you believe in this and then going to a supermarket and buying shampoo and conditioner in plastic bottles that's full of toxins and chemicals. Like, you have to really fight for what you believe in. I went to the climate change recently and I had a sign that said, I may be small, but I can still fight for change. And I think that's a very good one.
Yes.
I'm only 5'2", so I'm a bit small. I think that's 157 centimeters for you guys.
Yeah.
And also I set up a discount code for you guys. So if any of the podcast listeners want to use or want to go on the website and have a look, it is Ethical Evo or Ethical Evo, and it'll be valid on any orders over $30. I'll send that through to you.
Oh, that is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm so in. Expect my order. It is coming.
Good.
So the one thing that we haven't said during this whole conversation is, what's your web address?
It is www.ethicallyso.com.
There you go. We need to go there and shop.
And all the social media is the same. It's just ethically so.
Yeah.
We're pretty easy to find.
So I ask everyone this. What is the change you'd like to see in the world and how can we bring it to life?
Whew, that's a big question. I think an ocean cleanup is the most important thing. There is a system that's just been put in place by a Dutch inventor. He's only 25 years old. He invented this when he was 23. It's called Boy Slat, and it cleans up the plastic waves. Like, there's a plastic wave in between Hawaii and California that is 600,000 square miles big. That's 2 times the size of Texas.
No way.
And yeah, it's insane.
Wow.
Like, there's these plastic patches all over our planet that people just are not aware of.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And obviously you might have seen online, like, the plastic waves in the Philippines.
Yeah.
When I was traveling, we actually saw that. Like, it is next level. And I think that's kind of a connection. I think if people travel, they get that stronger connection to seeing it themselves.
Yeah.
So travel, guys. I would highly recommend traveling. It's great. But I think it needs to be 95% a mental and system change and 5% cleanup.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just go around cleaning up after ourselves forever. We need to change the way the system works, and we need to change that mental aspect. And it's very difficult for people to think, me doing this one thing isn't going to make a difference because nobody else is. But it is. You have to start small. Like, it will make a difference. Look at the change that's happened in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Or even with the climate change strikes. It's insane. The power of our mentality is crazy. We need to use it. We need to use it to make the change.
Yeah. That is so true. We've got to stop making the mess in the first place, don't we?
We definitely do. We can't just, go around cleaning up after ourselves the whole time. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Wow. You are going to make a huge change in this world. I can just see it, and you've only just begun. So we are going to back you 100% on that and make sure that people are on your mission. Now, I want to thank you so much for joining me early this morning, all the way from New Zealand. I look forward to seeing how things take off with you as well.
Thank you. And I can't wait to see more of this podcast coming up. I'm so excited to see all the collaborations that you have as well to educating people. I think that's so important.
There's amazing, amazing guests like yourself. And, I'm so excited about this. So thank you for being a part of it.
No, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Ethical Evolution podcast. If you're an ethical business owner, change maker, or holistic healer who's determined to make a change in the world and you need support to spread your message, visit ethicalchangeagency.com to collaborate.
Hey there, I'm DC. I host the rock podcast, Back to the Arena, The Interviews. It's about a 30-minute podcast where I talk one-on-one with a band who has released new music. You can find us on all the best podcast sites like Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and more. If you're a rock fan like me, subscribe today to Back to the Arena, The Interviews.
Electricast. Welcome to Ringside with Ray and Prince. My name is Ray Leonard Jr.
Oh, is that the shit? No, that's just my dad.
My name is Prince Daniels Jr.
Daniels again with a big home touchdown.
On this show, we come to humanize
Athletes, entertainers, business executives. We're going to see what makes them tick.
Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you there. Peace and power.
Electricast. Electricast.